Hey, welcome back to Buck Junkies. We're down here at camp. We got a guest in the house today, Mr. Jodie Morgan. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Thank y'all for inviting me down.
So Jodie is a alligator hunter extraordinaire, right, Mark?
That's right, the professional.
That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, he was that little kid on them Swamp People show, the one that was running around. That was him. But no, we got the regulars in the house, Mikey and Malcolm. We're all kind of catching back up for the week. I was out of town. Y'all hung out and done a little dove hunting, so
got a decent hunt.
Few things to catch up on before we roll into the Gators. But
you wanna
tell
them
ahead.
Everything, or you?
Yeah, no, you can go into it, Mikey.
Oh, so
we had a good dove weekend.
We did. We had a really good dove weekend. We got down here Friday. We did a little cooking Friday night. We cooked some deer and cooked some steaks, tri-tip, did some taters and some different things. Done our normal deer camp Friday night cooking, and then Saturday morning we got up, had us a safety meeting, said a little prayer.
Had a mate.
And then what happened, Malcolm?
Well, we had a little fender bender.
Oh, no, I ain't even heard about this yet.
Yeah. No, Waylon's car was, where Waylon parks in the driveway, and wasn't paying attention and just smoked it with the side-by-side.
You mean you messed up his Mercedes?
Oh, yeah, it's a Mercedes, too. So I got to call my insurance man, and now I got to see if it's going to be cheaper just to fix it or to claim it on my insurance. My insurance go up, but that's why you got insurance.
You not mention that in the safety meeting? Like, look in your surroundings?
I mean, it's my fault it happened because I said nothing about four-wheeler side-by-side safety in the meeting, and then we did 30 seconds later, somebody backed out of the garage and smoked away.
It'll be added next year. We'll have to make sure you know where you're backing up.
That's 2 vehicle accidents we done had down here.
I know.
Dustin ran off the cliff, and then you smoked a Mercedes.
Yeah, it's a bad deal, but luckily that was the worst thing that happened all weekend, Mikey.
It was. That was the worst thing. But anyways, we got out on the field. Kind of a slow morning. I mean, it was drizzling rain. It was bad, humid. Good Lord, man, it was humid. And I don't know. They were real slow about flying, but once they started flying, they flew in that rain pretty daggum decent.
I was shocked because you think dove season, you got to get out there before crack of dawn, and get set up, get everybody positioned, and they're going to start flying. But it was probably 8:30, 9 o'clock before we started getting birds. And we had birds steady. We could have used a couple more shooters. I mean, we had birds steady all morning, till I think we hunted till about 11, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was right around 11 o'clock when we got through, and I think everybody's kind of hungry and tired anyway, so. Yeah.
We didn't cook breakfast that morning. We just went straight out to the field. We ended up, we cleaned 16, 17 in a pigeon.
Yeah, something like that. 17 in a pigeon.
Yeah.
We should have had about 40 in a pigeon.
Oh, if we'd had
40 pigeons and 40 does, because y'all were on those pigeons.
You could have killed a lemon if you could hit them. That's my thing. I can't hit a
I heard you was hunting with the old long range choke over there.
I did. I had my special choke in there, the one that said turkey on the side of it for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking.
Dove on the side.
Yeah, it didn't have a dove on it. I got to looking, and I was like, I know I ain't missed that daggone bird. I mean, they ain't that much. And I got to looking at my choke, and I said, let me look at this thing. I screwed it out, and sure enough, it was daggone turkey choke.
They were on a struggle bus, man.
You done smoked a Mercedes.
I killed 3 birds with my turkey choke now.
Man, it couldn't have been nothing left of them.
I didn't.
They were tenderized.
What kind of shape were they?
One of them was pretty rough.
One of them we shot. Everybody shot it. I think Waylon shot 3 times. I shot 3 times, and Michael shot 3 times. And we had 1 bird. So he toted some lead.
He was a 5-pound dove when he hit the ground.
Yeah, it was dead. You know how they fall. This one was dead. Michael got it 2 more times on the deadfall. It was just ping ponging it around.
Make sure. Double check them babies.
We had a good field. We had a good hunt. We should have practiced a little more before we went to the field. None of us was on point with our shooting.
You was on pretty good. You didn't shoot very many. The times you shot, birds were falling usually.
Well, I ain't
Papaw good. You had those side by side.
That's right. It's Papaw. It's old double barrel.
Yeah.
I was squeezing both at one time.
Will was clutch. His hay bale was hot where he was sitting. He was getting a lot of them fly. The boys and Dustin, they was on the. Dustin actually shot a few. He just didn't find them. That's the bad thing. You got tall grass around your dove field, man. If you don't knock them down in the field, it is hard to find them. And even with the dog, I mean, Sadie did good. She brought back a bunch of doves for us, but just finding them in that grass is next to impossible.
You know, talking about that, we seen a field in Indiana going up there it was a dove field set up and looked like it had millet is what I'm guessing they had planted, but the field was probably twice the size of the one we have, and it wasn't a perfectly square shaped field. I mean, it was just kind of off the wall shape, but they had all the sage grass around about 10 yards deep, maybe not even that far. And then about 50 yards behind it, it was clean. It was down to the ground. So they just had almost like growing the wall around their dove field.
Yeah.
And then everything else was clean outside them. I was like, man, that's a pretty good idea. That makes sense.
Well, I kind of got an idea for next year to do something like that back down the hill from where we were sitting, where they were falling.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to do, and you don't need but 20, 30 yards. It's not a whole lot.
Well, who's to say we don't burn that and turn around and put wheat down for the next year and
That's
just kind of have that. So you got some options
It
there.
would work.
We didn't have a lot in our field. We shot a little video talking about that. I think we already talked about that one time, but man, we didn't have but $100 in seed, and then $20 in fuel burning the field, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Not much.
And then whatever fuel in the tractor, just disking and bush hogging around the field and stuff. I mean, that's all it was too. So I mean, we didn't have $200 or $300 in the field altogether, and that's not
the budget
bad for a
best budgeted dove field I've
Yeah.
seen. Yeah. Well, they flew that afternoon too. So we went back and hunted that afternoon. We had a few more shooters. We killed more birds too.
Yeah.
Shot 'em
BJ
around.
came down and shot with
Yeah.
us, and then we had another guy come over and shoot with us, and BJ done pretty good. He was knocking them down pretty good.
Yeah, him and Brady held that other field down.
Yeah.
That's a lot to it too, is having enough people per the field to keep the birds moving to where they just going to light on the other end. You can't do nothing about it.
That's what's fun to me about dove hunts, all the yelling back and forth at each other.
Oh,
You
there
get
was a bunch of good TikToks got made last weekend because I watched several of them the
Yeah.
other day. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, we had some good ones. I mean, there was birds. So I was impressed. Leading up to it, we didn't think we was going to have that many, but man, there was constant action.
So
I mean, you can go out there and look, see how many shells is on the ground. I bet you.
That don't mean there was action a lot of times. Hold on.
No, I mean, it was all at birds.
So do you think like shooting at those pigeons, because they seem like they're a big old bird and they're easy to hit. Do you think that messes with you whenever they're coming and you think they're flying slower? Because they're not.
I think you get excited because it's a big old bird.
They're not as fast as the dove. I
don't know. I think they're pretty quick. They just look. They're like ducks, though. You don't think they're moving that fast, but they're actually they're getting down pretty good.
So what did you think compared to eating wise? The dove versus the pigeon. How do you compare them? We ate that
they're
joke.
really close. I don't know that I got any of the pigeon. I've eaten them before though.
Yeah.
They're really close to me. I mean, the pigeon may be a little more gamier than the dove, but they're really freaking close.
I still got a sack of dove I vacuum sealed and put in the freezer, so I might do a recipe with it.
May have to.
I'd kill 40 pigeons instead of killing 40 doves all day long.
You would?
Yeah.
Why you like shooting them better than the dove?
I'm more meat on them.
Oh.
Get more bang for
Challenging
you
to hit
buck
that.
there.
I will say, we always talk about Indiana, all the corn and everything they got, how much bigger the deer are. Their freaking doves are 5 times as big as the ones we got down here.
Are they?
Oh, they're huge. We were sitting there watching them fly Saturday morning. They'd light on the power line, and I'm like, it looked like a pigeon. I mean, it was a big bird.
You never found out when dove season was up
No,
there?
I didn't follow it with it. I was on a struggle bus after Friday night up there, so I really wasn't paying
Whiskey
much.
got you, huh?
Yeah, people talk about your check liver light come on, well, my check pancreas light come on, and
Ooh.
it wasn't playing. That one don't go off though. That's the bad thing about that one. But no, they had some birds up there though. It was sure enough. It was a bunch of doves up there, which again, that's the capital, like grain capital of the world right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Jody, did you do any dove hunting?
I did. We Monday afternoon, John Lawson wanted to go. I really didn't have nowhere to go, but found a spot. It was more taking the kids than it was doves. I think we shot 3, sat around and chased the kids around the field and let them play in the dirt and throw dirt clods. That was about the most excitement we had, really.
Shoot, that's what it's all
That's,
about.
that's the best part.
Yep.
As long as they going, that's all that matters.
Did they take Red Riders?
He had it,
He
but
had
I was trying to get his gun safety practices down, and about 2 minutes into it, he had it pointed at his mama, so that it had to go back in the
He
side,
failed.
side. Yeah, I didn't want nobody's eye shot out with a BB.
I'm pretty sure I still got a picture of you and Michael that first year y'all come out to the house dove hunting. He was toting his Red Rider.
It popped up on mine the other day. That was 9 years ago.
Golly.
Don't seem like it.
No, it don't.
Yeah.
That was a good morning.
That was a good morning. We killed a lot of birds that morning.
You shot the one off the power line, and boy, he was shucking that Red Rider, boy. He thought he had him. But no, it's something about dove season, man. It's good. It's good. I hate I missed it, and that's what we were talking about on the way down here. It seems like now more and more stuff goes on first weekend of September. Like used to, you had dove season. I guess because you get older, you get more involved in things. But it's a busy weekend nowadays. What was the best meal y'all had?
That's tough. That steak dinner was awful good on Friday, but then on Saturday we turned around and did smash burgers for lunch.
Yeah.
We had the original Dyer burger, the Mikey Dyer burger. The burgers were greasy and good, man.
Yeah. I try to get them as greasy as possible.
Yeah.
I tell you, I think it's something to that because we cooked them. We was at a campground Wednesday night, and we was going to cook some smash burgers, and we got there pretty late. And I bought the 73, whatever, the fattiest ground beef, like the good ground beef. I bought it, and Emily rolled them out in the trailer, and it was done got dark, so we just had one little Milwaukee light, so you really couldn't see that well because I was standing in the shadow. I threw them on there, smashed them out, and I guess because it was dark, you really couldn't tell if they were ready to flip or not.
Yeah.
So I think you just cut the lights off next time and burn the bottom of them. Man, that's a good
get that crunch.
Man, that's a good smash burger. It was the crunchiest burger I ever cooked.
Did you do the onions with it and all that?
No, we done some Funyuns.
Oh yeah. Mikey did the onions with his. It was dang good.
Yeah.
This was 10 o'clock at night. We was just trying to get some food in our belly before we went to bed.
The trick to it is get that old bun and get it in that grease, and then put it over here and let it
toast
crisp up. Yeah,
man, that's what made it. Put some more blue plate mayonnaise and pickles on that, dude.
I hadn't done you the Funyun smash burger, have I?
I did one at the house. Yeah, it was okay. I wasn't just crazy about it.
You have to. So I've learned two things this weekend on the Funyun burger. You have to break them up to where they're almost a dust. So like run them in a food processor, and then mix it in your ground beef. And then it crisp up good. Like if they're chunky, they get chewy. Like it's not nearly as good.
Maybe I didn't have them powdered up enough.
If you break them up to where they're almost like powder, man, they get crispy, crunchy. And I'm gonna try something on deer meat this year, frying Dotch pretzels.
Like a pretzel crust.
Run them through the food processor, and toss them like the ranch Dotch pretzels or the seasoned Dotch pretzels, and use that as your flour. So
we got to try that.
God, they're good.
Did y'all do that at Indiana or?
I probably shouldn't say that because I think that was a secret ingredient to Indiana tenderloin sandwich, but it was dang freaking good. That's what they fried the pork tenderloin.
Pork tenderloin in was Dot's pretzel crumbs.
Dot's pretzels and cheese puffs was the other one. The cheese puffs one was dang good too. You would have never known it was cheese puffs.
Dang.
But we had a few good meals up there. We done pretty good. Wasn't too bad.
So what are we going to get into today? We got the alligator man here, right?
So we mentioned it last week. The Mississippi alligator season was the last 2 weekends, correct?
Yep.
And you got to enter. You got to be able to pull a tag.
So you
go through the process, start to finish. What got you started in it, and where you're at
how'd you
with
get into alligator hunting?
So I've got friends that have done it, and I've always wanted to go. And 2 years ago, I went to put in. So you put in, I don't remember, in June, July, something like that. It's a lottery draw, and you hope you get drawn. So I went to put in a few years ago. I have a lifetime license, so I had a number that I couldn't figure out which one was the right number. Didn't get to put in, so I got put in this year and got drawn, actually. They email you if you get drawn in the lottery draw, then you can purchase 2 tags. You get 2 tags, which one you can either kill 2 alligators 4 foot to 7 foot, or you can kill 1 in the 4 foot to 7 foot range and 1 7 foot or bigger.
So the goal is to kill like a trophy gator and then just kill a small one.
That's
for management.
That's what you're. That's the thing everybody does is you kill you usually kill your short one pretty quick. You want to get him as close to 7 foot as you can, and then you go for a big one. See if you can find the biggest one you can find.
Is it only 2 weeks?
It is. It opens on a Friday. I think it opens every year. It opens the last Friday in August at noon and runs for 10 days until that Monday at noon.
And that's it?
That's it.
How many tags do they give out? Do you have any idea?
Man, I saw the numbers, and if I have it right, I think they had 7,000 applicants in the state of Mississippi, and they give out 920-something tags.
Yeah. That's pretty strong, though.
Yep. It's I got drawn this year, and they say that if you get drawn this year, it's usually going to be a couple years till you get drawn again.
Yeah.
So what everybody does is you get a group of people, 5 or 6 folks. Everybody puts in, and if I get drawn, we all go. You got to buy a $25 alligator license, and we just all get on the boat. As long as you got 1 tag holder, you can take a group with you.
So it's
everybody had to have that alligator license
you do.
on the boat?
You do. So we had me and I had the tags, and my wife and 2 buddies, and all they had to do was buy. You have to have a hunting license, and then you buy another $25 alligator license.
So do you have the equipment, the boat, the rods, all that? Or
we kind of managed it all together amongst everybody. I bought a couple rods and some hooks and used the buddy's boat. He has a bow fishing boat with lights.
So what was your rigs like? What fishing poles you
So
bought?
we bought 2
Zipco 33s.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you could hold on with one of them, but you'd be having a time. The way we did it, man, everybody has a little different twerk to it. We just got 2 bait cast reels, medium heavy reels, put 100-pound braid on them, and then had 2 what they call winch lines, and it's pretty much a small deep sea fishing rod. Really heavy, stiff, got a big reel on it, and kind of get to them, throw them smaller rods over them, get closer to them, throw the big rod, get the big hook in them, then you can handle them with them bigger rods.
Yeah.
And if they're big enough, then you got to get your hand line in them, and when you get that hand line in them, if you can keep the hook in them, because they will spit the hooks or get under logs or stuff like that. You get that hand line in them though, and you've about got them most of the time.
So what's the hand line?
It's just a they
Anchor
call it
rope?
mule tape, a white flat rope with a big, huge. I don't even know what alt treble hook it is. Big. I mean, it's a big treble hook tied to that, and that's the one when you. I mean, it's you and your hands then.
Yeah. Are you trying to hook him in a certain place when you put that hand line on him?
Yeah, most people what I've been taught, you try to get them close to them front legs. You can get it in the front of their body, then you can handle them. Because if you get them in the tail, then you're trying to get a rope on his head. He's got all that body to still be flailing around and everything.
So the other rod, like the smaller rods, once y'all hooking with them and y'all get them up close enough to throw the big rods over them, do y'all cut the line on the little rods, or do y'all just somebody get a hold of them, or you set them down, or? We
kind of kept as many lines in them as we could, hooks in them as we could, because they'll run under logs, or if you let slack get in them hooks will kick out. But you got to be careful too, because when them lines get crossed up, that braid will, braid gets rubbing on itself, it'll cut it. Even with the big mule tape on the hand line. It didn't happen with us, but the guys I went with the week before, they had like 11.6 on, and they got the hand line in him and had one more of the 200-pound braid in him. Well, they got crossed and got to cutting, and they looked at it, and it was already cutting into that white mule tape. So they cut their 200-pound braid, and all they had was a hand line on him.
So is there any rules against how many hooks you can have in one? Or is it pretty much get as many as you can, or just get it?
Get them in him, and with Mississippi, they try to prevent you from shooting them. So like a lot of stuff you see on TV don't really happen out there, but they try to prevent you from shooting them at a distance, which with the laws you can't. But in Mississippi, legally you have to have them restrained, and restrained is defined as having a rope around their neck or their tail. So when you get that around them, you've really got them then. But no, you can get. And really at the first, as many casting rods as you've got, because I bet you I casted that rod 100 times the other night and probably didn't hook but 3 alligators. You're casting and casting and casting and casting. And so I think we had 3 guys up on that bow fishing deck, and which it was tough for us. The conditions turned and it just wasn't working. But, I mean, when we saw one, all 3 of us were launching hooks at him.
So explain, what time did y'all get out there? Y'all went...
We left as soon as we could, as soon as my wife got home from work. We put our boat in the river I think we put our boat in the river at 7:45, and the sun we had just enough light to run up the river and get in the channel we wanted to get in.
Did y'all scouted any gators, or were y'all just going where you knew?
The guy that went with us that really knew what he was doing, I would say, he had hunted this area. I think he said this was his 4th year to hunt this area. Okay. So they had hunted it the opening Friday. I wasn't able to go that Friday, so we went back the second Friday.
So y'all ain't setting out bait poles and all the stuff like we see on TV.
All that in Mississippi.
You just sight casting?
Yep.
That's all you do?
You can't use any kind of bait in the state of Mississippi.
So you run around with your lights and try to locate them? Or?
Yep. So we got in a channel that's probably, I'd say, 50 to 75 yards wide. You'd turn up that channel, and we had spotlights, and you would shine. You could see their eyes on the bank. And usually the way it'll work, you can shine them and turn your light off, and you can get closer, shine them again, you can get closer, start casting. Well, them 7 days before we got there, man, it must have been boats in that spot every night, because we would shine the bank. It'd be 10, 12 sets of eyes. You'd shine them that second time. It'd be 4 sets of eyes. You shine them that third time. You'd hope there was 1 set of eyes left.
They were gone.
They were gone. They knew when they saw a light that they knew what was happening.
Will they completely like leave that area, or will they just go down and stay down for long enough till they know you're gone?
So at first they would kind of go. We ended up killing a 6.6 and a 7.2, and we had to work for them. And we got on one big, what I'd say bigger alligator, and it was right when we got there early. Well, I say early, right at dark, and the moon was still behind the clouds. And we spotted him. And if you can see their eyes and you can see a gap between their 2 eyes, you usually know it's getting to a bigger gator. And obviously, the bigger the gap, the bigger the gator. Yeah. We got to him, and he actually stayed up. We threw on him and didn't hook him. He went under, and we were like, "This is the first big one we've seen, so we're gonna hang out." So we just stayed there. He went under, and we knew he had a big breath of air, so he was gonna be under for a while. We just kind of hung out. And for some reason, instead of coming back up on the bank, he came halfway out to us and came up. And when I say he came up long enough to get 1 breath of air, he came up and went right back under. And we tried to cast on him, but they'll hang out in that area. They'll run off, say, 100 yards or maybe go to the other side of the channel or run up or down the channel. But usually they're gonna hang out in that same area just about.
Because they're territorial, or they're where they're used to staying, or do you know? I
think they're so used because, like we were talking on the way down here, they've got 355 days out of the year that people aren't messing with them. So
they ain't got to go nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're used to a boat coming up that channel and that boat just keeping on going. So he ducks under the water, he can come right back up and never see that boat again, or nobody messes with them.
Freaking dinosaurs, what that is.
They are. They're a unique animal, that's for sure.
So how many gators are you seeing when you're out there in the night? Like, is it
on a normal night, like when y'all first got there?
A bunch of them, or is it far and few?
So what we did, we found a channel that was loaded with gators. Now a lot of them were little. There was some decent, say, trophy alligators in there, but they had done got smart by that second Friday. So we would kind of run a 500-yard section of the channel. I would say we probably saw anywhere between 80 to 120 different alligators.
Yeah.
But, you
would more interested, ain't you?
Yeah,
that's a lot of gators.
You would ride by, and they would all disappear, and you get 200 yards past them, and you could turn around, shine the light backwards, and there'd be another 10 set of eyes already come back up and got on the bank.
So
can you use night vision or anything like that to creep around on them?
I guess you might, but I don't know if there's any rules. I know one big advantage everybody's, and I guess it's kind of like the whole crappie fishing debate. People have started using live scopes. When they go under, you can see them laying on the bottom.
See, that's got to be illegal.
I don't know.
Because it ain't like a fish. Like, I understand a fish, you still got to make that fish bite. That alligator ain't got to bite. You just got to hook him, you know?
It probably – I mean, I could see it becoming illegal.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything that says it's illegal to use.
You didn't hear it first. That. Like, it's already out there.
We didn't have one, by the way.
So, I know we talked about it before, but how much has this sport changed for Mississippi in the last 3 years as far as people y'all are seeing at the boat ramp, and what has changed? You know, you said they got pressure on them now. Y'all are noticing human pressure affecting them.
Yep.
How many more people are doing it now versus 3 years ago?
So a lot of people, man, that I've talked to over, even go back 10 years ago, is it seems like the group that did it 10 years ago has gotten burnt out and they've quit doing it. Whereas now there's a new group of, and I mean, I'm involved in that group, that's getting into it and it's getting more popular. And the boat ramp we put in, the guy that showed it to us, he said this is his 4th year to park at that boat ramp. He said the first year he pulled up to this boat ramp, it was him and 2 other trucks in the parking spots. He went back the second year, it was him and 7 other trucks. He said he went back last year and it was him and 22 other trucks. They went back Friday. It opened at noon. They pulled up to the boat ramp at 6:30, and they said, I guarantee you if it wasn't 60 trucks in that parking lot, I'm lying.
Wow.
Said there was people parking 400 or 500 yards from the ramp.
Do you see that many people out there at night, like around you while you're trying to get on one?
You run into people, but most of the people were pretty courteous. You know, if you turn up a channel and you see a light already scanning that channel, people will either stay in the mouth or kind of work past you, or people are pretty courteous about it. But like I told Mark, that boat ramp we put in, man, you could have put in there and run who knows where.
You're on a big river, so you go wherever.
We literally put the boat in the Mississippi River, So you got north and south to go, then you got all the tributaries off of there to pick from. So 60 boats sounds like a ton, but it's not 60 boats putting in at Hernando Point or Arcabutla Lake either.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a pressured deal, and it seems like it's becoming more popular, I guess. More people are getting into it.
Is there a certain range or area you got to stay in, like in the river or?
Yes. So when you put in for your tags, they've got the state split up into 7 zones, I think. And the Southwest and West Central, what I've determined, West Central, which is Vicksburg up to, I really don't know how far north it goes. South is Vicksburg down to the coast. Those are kind of your 2 hot spots where most people want to get drawn. Now, around Ross Barnett's a pretty popular area, but the rules say, too, you can't hunt a lake. You have to be in a waterway, which is like movable water, like a river. And I think Ross Barnett and Pearl River around that area has become a pretty popular spot. But they have – I know there's – pretty positive there's 7 zones, the states. And when you put in for tags, you have to specify, I want tags in the Southwest zone, or I want them in the Northeast zone or Northwest zone.
I got you. Because I was thinking about like on those, like on the, what's the alligator show they hunt them all the time? Swamp people. They'll have tags down there. When they draw tags, they have like a boundary that they have to stay in with those tags, and then somebody else draws tags, and the boundary may be the middle of the main channel running through this swamp. So one side is this guy's and the other side is that guy's. Yep. So I didn't know if those tags were the same way or it was a vast area. Like
no, yeah. See, the state of Mississippi, when you put your application in, you have to apply for. I applied for the Southwest zone, and when you get drawn, you get your 2 tags for Southwest, and you have to stay in the Southwest zone.
So you got some options there. Where
whatever zone you get drawn for, you've got a good area to pick from.
So walk us through. Y'all launched the boat. Y'all found the gator. Y'all got eyes on him. Y'all know about where he's at. What is the process of knowing where you throw? What are you looking for when you're casting those catch rods to see? Like what? Like are you looking for bubbles, or you hope he's still up when you throw, or is he under, or what's the deal?
If you get lucky, you can throw on him and he's still on top of the water. But one thing that you get adjusted to is you see an alligator head out there, and at first you think I'm throwing at that alligator head, but his body's either to the left or the right. And I mean, you don't want to hook him in the head, which I mean, I guess if you got him in the head, you'd take it, but you got to go left or right of him, and kind of figuring out which way he's facing. You got to figure out which way his body is, because they teach you if he's running away from you that you might as well not even cast at him, because I mean, you ain't got much room to hit there. Now, the first one we did caught Friday night, I'll never hook this alligator. And I threw it and caught him right in the front shoulder, and he was running straight away from me. But
how far?
The other night they got pretty tough because they were so pressured they would run from you. So if you got within 70 yards of them, you better start throwing.
That's a long way. Yeah, that's a long way to throw.
You're chunking it. Like, it ain't just pitch it out there. Now, some of them would go under, and most of the time, like the bigger gator we saw, man, he came up and got one breath of air and went back under, and the water never moved. He never rippled the water, never made a –
and you think a darn 10-foot animal would – you would know.
He'd make a heck of a disturbance. So, he went under, and we were blind casting at him, but – man, by that time they're so smart. They're laying around logs, so you're fighting, trying to get the hook around the logs. And when he came up that close to us, when he went under, he probably darted 100 yards that way. So we was blind casting at nothing really.
Y'all lose a lot of tackle out there hooking logs and stuff. You had
man, a lot of them channels weren't that deep. The water was fairly low this year. It had dropped like 4 feet from Friday to Friday. You could just pull up there and reel down to your rod and push it out.
I got you.
But some of them, you hook an alligator and he runs under a log, you're probably gonna lose that unless you can catch him and get your hook back. Yeah, that one's probably gone. So
I was just thinking about like if you hung up, like reaching down in there trying to unhook that hook in that water with all them daggum alligators in there.
Yeah, that's one thing I realized real quick is you keep your hands and your feet inside the boat because they will. The guy's boat we took, man, it's a used boat, but he just bought this boat 3 months ago, and I think we had killed the under alligator, and we saw one. We hooked him, and we were like, let's just catch him, measure him, see what he is. And got him up to the boat, and we was kind of guesstimating what he was, and that joker chomped down on the side of that aluminum boat. And I said, man, I'm sorry, you're going to be missing a little paint. But he might have took a hunk out of your boat.
All right, so you got the gator hooked. What is going through your mind? How big a fight is it? What is it? Because, I mean, in our mind, we're thinking –
river catfish.
Yeah, like, I mean, is it – because we've hooked big catfish when we went to David, and, like, to me, the tackle and the gear made that job a lot easier than what in your mind what you thought it would be.
Oh, yeah.
So hooking a 7-8 foot gator, like, I'm thinking, like, I mean, what does a 7-foot gator weigh? 100 pounds?
150 pounds.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're
Well,
talking
you think too, when we hooked them, the first hook we had in them was on a regular bass fishing rod.
Yeah.
So you got to have your drag set right, and you're kind of thinking, don't break, please pole, don't break. You
Yeah.
know? You get that bigger pole in him, and you can handle him. I mean, it's. I'd compare it to a extra large a huge catfish, because they'll get tired and they'll feather out, and you can winch down on them and literally just pick them up to the top.
They're
of the water.
done.
But them little ones, when they get to the top of the water, they're gonna get a breath of air, and it's on. He's fixing to go somewhere, because they'll run 70 yards out there, 50 yards, 70 yards out there, and then they'll tire out again. You can winch on them again. Now the big one that the big one my wife hooked on to in Florida,
we're gonna cover that monster.
She had a fight on her hands.
So how long does it take you to get one of those under 7-foot gators in a boat usually?
The two we caught last Friday took us 20 minutes apiece.
That's still a pretty good fight.
That's
you
a
know,
good fight.
I mean, that's holding on to him, getting the rope around his neck, getting him shot, and getting him in.
So you don't shoot him until you reel him up to the boat. You hook him, get him coming to the boat, try to get more hook in him. And when you get him all hooked up to the boat, you got to get a rope around him.
You got to get a rope around him. Legally in
that's your
Mississippi,
job.
it has to be,
Who does that? And how do you do that? You got
a lot of people have got pole, and they'll put a snare on the end of a pole and stick in your hand. Now, some people are gutsy, and they'll just take an old rope, calf rope, and they'll just get it down there and get it over his head.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
So he's still trying to bite the boat and frail and all that.
Most of the time they give out by that time.
Okay.
They get so tired that they'll just literally sit on top of the water. You could, if it wasn't against the law, you could shoot them without ever putting a rope around their head. Because by that, I mean, we caught one. He was right at 7 foot, and he was so tired. We pulled the rope up on the boat, grabbed him, taped him up, and measured him, and realized he was over 7 foot. We released him.
So you can't, as long as you don't shoot them, the hooks don't phase them.
So
no. They don't.
That was my next thing. What is the process of releasing one? Because I'm thinking like a big old freaking treble. A treble hook's hard to get out of a brim, so I can't imagine one of these big ones in the alligator.
Hooked off in the gator gut.
You get a pair of pliers and pull on it, and it'll pop out. But in the state of Mississippi too, if you can shoot them with a bow fishing rig, and you can stab them with a harpoon. But if you do that, you can't release them. Right. That's one of the things. But pretty much catching them is just like killing them. You get that rope around their neck. You just gotta get their mouth taped before you shoot them, not after you shoot them.
So y'all just running duct tape around his mouth? Or?
Yep. You get him up there, and he's tired, and you just ease your hands up over his mouth. When you get his jaw, he can't open his mouth.
That's gonna be your job right there. You can be the mouth holder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump on it and hold him.
Yeah, that's it.
And then you wrap that tape around him, and he's there.
Then you got him. But a tail, you still gotta watch that tail.
Yeah. Yep. But they learned and seen that the bigger alligator, it's almost, I say bigger, get in the 10-foot range. Now you get to a huge one, it's a different story. But them big ones will give out quicker than the little ones. The little ones they'll come up and fight. They'll come up and fight. They'll come up and fight. The big ones, about that second or third time, he's done. I mean, he floats up there, and he kind of gives you that thought of, do something with me because I'm tired of fighting y'all.
Is there a certain gun you got to shoot him with?
Yep, and in Mississippi, it's you can shoot them with a shotgun, but it's got to be number 6 or smaller pellets. Smaller. Yep. Or you can use a bang stick, and there's a limitation on the bang stick too, which is like a 40 caliber, 357, something like that. But that's where they come in of preventing people from shooting them at a distance.
Yeah. That's the reason you get smaller shots.
What did y'all take with y'all?
A 410.
410 shotgun.
410 shotgun had the tightest 410. It's the 410 I take turkey hunting. It's got the tightest choke in it. I think I had some number 8 shots, so I took them. But one of them took 2 shots. It took a little bit to because we shot him, got him in the boat, and my wife was in the back, and she was like, I don't think this one's quite dead. And we turned around, sure enough, his feet were moving, and we had to.
And he was in the boat.
Take him back out.
Shot.
Yeah, did you take him out of the boat?
No, we hung his head over the boat.
I was going to say.
And shot him.
We'd have holes all
Yeah,
in our
we done
boat.
shot
Malcolm
the
shoot the
boat.
whole damn boat.
Especially got to shoot a shotgun.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you got
He's
to.
sinking.
You got to be careful, cause especially, man, you get one of them big ones, and you get in the moment, and that adrenaline gets going, and I mean, you've got a loaded gun, so you've got a dangerous weapon with you. But you got to be careful when it comes to getting that gun out. But one of the laws that protects you against that is your gun has to be cased until you get that restraint on them.
Yeah.
When you get the restraint on them, then you can get the gun out of the case.
All right, so we're next to the next step. You got him. He's taped up. He's shot. Is it as hard as I think it would be to roll that big rascal on the boat? Which I guess is 3 or 4 of you in the boat. You can kind of grab him and go, but
there's a technique to it.
yeah.
If you
you ain't just grabbing him, picking him up.
No. Now, them smaller ones, yeah, you can grab them by the mouth and yank them up in there. The big ones, no, you got to get them going piece by piece. Like, you get that head and get that front leg started. If you can get a third of his body going in that boat, you got him.
You just roll on in.
Yep, you just got to get his head going, grab a leg, and grab a tail. But like you're saying, the tail flopping around. When that tail comes over the edge of that boat,
It's coming.
So if you're in the way, it's going to get you. But it's a fight to get them in because, I mean, they're dead weight by that time. And if you can get them rolling, though, you can get them over in the edge of that boat.
So when y'all get one, or do you keep on hunting for the next one, or do y'all go on back and clean that one, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, we killed that one and kept on hunting. And people usually you don't just keep them. You'll take them and get them taken care of in a timely manner. But most people, it's going to be a little time because another rule the state has, you can't crank a boat motor with a live alligator. If you do bring him in to measure him, there's no motor in at all.
Really? Why is that?
Keep people from transporting them, or
So wait a minute, So you
Yeah,
can't
you lost me on that one.
Yeah,
So you got to be dead if you move him with a
if
motor
you
on.
bring them in your boat and you ride somewhere, he's got to be dispatched.
So what are you getting at? Where people would catch them, tape them up, go measure them, then turn them back loose, or or take them somewhere and release them?
Tape them somewhere and release them, or
all right.
put them in the boat and ride around with them all night trying to catch a bigger one. I got me a
Call 'em.
9-foot one, but I'm gonna keep him alive until I can find me 11-foot.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be in that boat with that.
You go
freaking rascal.
tape him up, pitch him in the back of the truck, and just leave him back here.
Yeah.
You go catch a big one, let him
Like
go.
a certain person I know brought a hog back live that was looking at you when we crossed River Bridge.
I've heard the story. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I've heard that a guy he shot the alligator, had his mouth taped up, went back to the boat ramp, was going down the road 30 minutes down the road, and turned around and looked. Alligator's on the front deck of the boat, standing up on all fours, riding down the road.
Oh, no.
Cars were honking at him. He's like, what in the world's going on? Sure enough,
He doesn't come back too.
just knocked him out. Didn't kill him, didn't knock him out, and look back.
That would be something we would
all
do.
fours
Right there.
standing
Yeah.
on the boat.
So on the show, they make a big deal about there's only one spot, the sweet spot, you can shoot them and kill them. Is that kind of what y'all see, or can you shoot them anywhere in the head and they kill them?
No, there's a spot in their head, and if you ever see a mounted head of an alligator, you'll see that edge of their head. If you shoot them in the top of their head, I mean, even them 40 and 357s, pretty much just going to splatter on their head. But if you get right behind their head, there's a little kind of a half moon shape, and it's skin and soft, and that goes down to your spine. So when you shoot one, really how you're killing him and dispatching him fast is severing their spine. It's breaking it. And
It's not
You
just
ain't going to the
necessarily-
skull.
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're not going to shoot one in the brain. Not at all. I mean, I've seen pictures of literally like a 357 bullet flattened out, buried right below the skin and on the top of one's head from when the bang stick hit them in the top.
Maybe that's why on the swamp folks, when they shoot one, they take out after it, try to get a hook in it because it just stuns them
Yep. And
instead of killing them or something.
kind of gruesome, but a lot of people for a safety issue will take a chisel with them, and just to keep from them coming back,
Go ahead and hit them.
drive that chisel down in there, and that sure enough
Yeah.
separates their
Yeah.
spine,
Yeah.
and then you know they're dead then.
I'd want to make sure. I
Yeah.
still ain't real sure about bringing that T-Rex off on the boat with me.
Boat, yeah.
How
It'd
do
be
you
a
get-
pretty good sized boat.
Yeah.
That adrenaline gets going, yeah.
We ain't gonna take
Yeah,
the little-
so the whole time, are y'all out there having a good time cutting up, or is it serious? Or
It gets pretty serious. It gets pretty intense. Like you said, they're wild animals. So when you see a 10-foot alligator, even up to a 12-foot alligator, that your heart gets to pumping. And especially, even on the 8-foot ones, it's as just long like as that catfish rod. When that drag starts peeling, that adrenaline gets going.
An 8-footer's longer than that couch y'all sitting on, so a 10-footer.
Well, the thing is, like, hey, we don't. Well, they claim we don't have alligators up here where we're at, and we've never been around one enough to know to be comfortable. We've always been. We just seen the National Geographic. These folks getting shredded apart by these alligators in the swamp, Yeah. So we grew up terrified of them, and I still ain't not afraid of them, It's one of them things like. You get unafraid, that's when you're gonna get hurt. If it don't scare you, make you nervous, that's when you're gonna make a mistake. So in my mind, I've always tried to keep the gators out of the boat.
You go kill one or lay your hands.
Oh, we're
on
going.
One
Ain't no
and
doubt.
See one, you'll think about jumping in a pond or a river to swim that you can't see the bottom of. Even if it, like I said, even up here, people say they're here, there, but I don't want to take my chances of me being the one that finds him.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, growing up, me and Jodie done a lot of fishing together. And I never would have said 10 years ago he'd have went and caught a gator because I know how scared he is of snakes.
That's my thing. There's two things about gator hunting in late August. The mosquitoes have to be crazy, and then the snakes.
Yeah, the mosquitoes kind of come and go. You find patches of them for some reason. You're using your trolling motor going up down them channels. You find patches of them, and then if the wind will pick up, that kind of take care of the bugs too. Luckily, I ain't never had no encounter with a snake because, like Mark said, if I did, that'd probably be the.
No, we've been fishing and just a limb fall in a boat and he's going out.
Yeah,
he's
I don't
gone.
like him. I don't like him at all.
It's game over.
I've had water moccasins ruin many of my crappie trips.
Yeah.
I ain't fond of a snake. Don't get me wrong, but Jodie's probably the scariest of a snake I've ever been around.
I don't like him.
All right, the story that I know everybody kind of wants to hear because this is a story that I'm pretty proud of, or I say I'm proud of. I'm glad because it's exciting. Is your wife winning the trip to go catch the freaking one of the biggest gators I've ever seen?
Yeah, she's just lucky, I guess is the best way to put it. An outfitter in Florida, me and my dad go turkey hunting with. We were
what's the name of the outfitter?
God's Country Outfitters in San Mateo, Florida. Me and Dad's been down there twice turkey hunting, so we made friends with them, man. They're great people. They're at the NWTF convention in Nashville every year. So like you said, they're kind of like family. We go by and see them every time. So me and my wife and my little boy are in Nashville, go by the booth. They're like, man, we're giving away a gator hunt. Put in for this gator hunt. Oh, I ain't putting in. I ain't going to win, Well, she does. 2 months later, we're looking at Facebook Live video, and sure enough, one of their daughters draws her name out of a hat for an alligator hunt. So we head back down there for that, get it all scheduled. We head back down there for that, and actually took our little boy with us on that trip. They agreed to let him go. Now, they have special boats that they've built. They've got the top of the line.
That's all they do with them.
Oh, man, they've got the setup. Like, we got spoiled on this one. Went out on the river, and they warned us. They were like, man, y'all might want to, take care of him because we'll be daylight when we get back. And we put in an hour before dark on the Florida trip. And we rode around for about an hour, turned the lights on, go up a little channel. They spot two in a channel. We go up the channel, they throw, can't find one, move up just a little piece. And like John Lawson, my little boy, is almost asleep at this point. And it's only probably 2 hours after dark. And, man, one of them guys laid into that alligator. And, like I said, they've got top-notch equipment. That pole and that reel, I've never seen drag coming off that reel as fast as that thing was. And Rachel is, I don't know, she's not a big woman at all. Yeah, she's pretty thin. She's sitting on a cooler in the front of this boat, and literally when that drag quits going out, the guy hands her the fishing pole and says, there you go. She had to hang on to him. He gets caught up in weeds, and she's fighting him, and twice she hollered, y'all got to help me. Y'all got to help me. And he was like, no, you got it. Just hang on. And he was picking her up off the cooler, and she was just hanging on. It was about a 25-minute fight, and he wore down. And, man, when that big joker came up out of that dirty water, literally it would look like a dinosaur coming up out of there.
And what was the weight and length? I know you said 11. What was 11?
11.3, 11.4, I think is what it stretched out to be. And we didn't even weigh it, but I'd say it weighed, I don't know, 500, 550 pounds.
Holy smokes.
It was.
What'd y'all do with it? Mount?
Yeah, she got his head taxidermy mounted like an actual alligator.
I meant to tell you to bring that. I started to tell you to bring it. We said it right there.
She got his head mounted as looks like a real live alligator head, and it's big. And then they take care of everything for you, but she's getting the hide of it tanned brown color, and has got plans to make a purse and get the boy some stuff made out of it. And then the big scales running down his back, they're going to tan that, and that's going to kind of be the head, and that's going to kind of be the keepsake.
Yeah, yeah. So, what, did you keep the meat?
Yeah, we brought back a little bit of meat from it. They don't make you bring back all of it because they charge you per pound to process it and all that, and it get pretty steep to bring back the whole, which you don't get a ton of. I mean, for a 500-pound alligator, you ain't gonna get a whole lot of meat off of him. But I didn't want to bring back 100 pounds of alligator meat either.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is so I've ate that meat. Like we cooked it at the house one night, and that was a legit processor that knew what they were doing. Like took the fat out of it. I mean, it was. I guess they tenderize it. They run it through a tenderizer or something. It looks like steaks. Look like minute steaks.
Yep. And
it is it's some of the best gator I've ever had. I mean, it tastes like really, really rich chicken thighs. And you said y'all tried to cook some tail this weekend off one of them gators.
Yeah, we thought we were going to cheapskate it and not go to the processor and just take care of it ourselves. Skinning it wasn't too bad, and getting the meat off its tail wasn't too bad. But man, we didn't want to. We was going to experiment and put it on the pellet grill. We got a little Airbnb down there, and they had a pellet grill, so we ran to Walmart, got a little seasoning, and threw on it. Let's just cook this end of it, so if we ruin it, we ain't really just ruined the great meat. Man, we let that thing cook for, 3 hours or so, and we took it off. It looked so pretty. And, man, if them people that were at that Airbnb would have been there, they'd have charged us double for a cleaning fee. Because it stunk.
Oh, no.
When we cut into that thing, it stunk, man.
Ooh.
It had
it was rough.
thin layer of good-looking white meat. And then under that was some pink, raw, fatty-looking.
Oh, no.
It stunk up the whole Airbnb. I mean, it smelled just like when we was cleaning it.
How much of it did you eat?
None.
No.
I took it outside and threw it away.
But do y'all normally clean your own when you get the license here?
Yeah, the guys that I've been with before, they clean their own. But I mean, like you said, you're not getting just a bunch of meat off of them, and once you get all the fat and all that, you ain't getting a lot of meat. But if I get drawn again, or if I'm responsible for the gator that's killed, it'll go straight to a processor. I learned my lesson with it.
What do they charge you to process alligator?
I don't even know, but I had a
It's worth it, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll figure out if I ever kill another one. I know that.
So they'll skin it, give you the hide and all that back, and the meat too.
I think whatever you want. And I didn't research it enough, and I wish I would have. But the way I've talked to some guys lately and read about is, I think in the state of Mississippi you can sell them to a processor. So like them 2 short alligators that we killed. I mean, yeah, I wanted their head off of them, but, they were 6 and 7 foot long. They wasn't just no big trophy. I think you can go and sell that to a processor, and they give you a different type of tag and give them a different type of tag. You can actually sell your alligator, and then they can do with the hide and meat what they want to do.
See, I was wondering about that is why like a processor wouldn't show up to some of those more popular boat ramps and stuff with like a reefer trailer and just sitting there waiting on you to bring it back. Like, hey, I'll take you alligators from you if you don't want them or don't want to food with them. I'll take them.
Because they have a thing called a CITES tag, or I think that's how you say it. And I'm thinking the way those work is like we could have took them 2 alligators to them and said, hey, they're yours. You can have what you want to off of them, and they would have done something with them CITES tags and pretty much sold them to them. But that you come to that too, and where we were, there was a few processors here and there. You get back up in this area, and you ain't gonna find
nobody knows what to do with them.
Definitely down in the southwest is where all your processors are going to be at.
Ready to go boat? Let's go.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let y'all stick to the gator hunting. I think. Can you do it after deer season? Like I can see being out there in February. It'd be getting cold.
So what is it when y'all went to the place in Florida? Like, what is their season? Was it the same time of year, or was it later?
Yeah,
earlier?
theirs open. Just watching social media, I think theirs opened the middle of August. But in Florida, it runs. I think they have like a 2.5 month season.
Yeah.
But their tags are kind of. I've never looked completely into it, but their tags are kind of wishy-washy too. I think it's a lottery system. Cause just asking questions when we were down there. All their guides, because they do hog hunts, turkey hunts, they do all kinds of stuff. So they have a number of guides that work for them. Every one of their guides puts in four tags. Everybody that works there. So when me and Rachel showed up, we got ready to go. One of the guides that I don't even think he does gator hunts. I think he did turkey hunts or something. He had to be on the boat with us because he was a tag holder, and Rachel killed the alligator under his tag.
I got you. So that probably can. That definitely is a trip you could win. That probably get pretty pricey. You start trying to buy one of them guided ones down there.
It gets real pricey because the last spring me and Dad were down there was the spring before she knew she had won the hunt. So we went in like March, and then we went back in September. And I was sitting in the little living room of the lodge, and there was a guy there that was a dentist or something. And he had been turkey hunting, and he had to get out of camp, and he was paying up his bill, this and that. And one of the brothers that owns God's Country said, why don't you go on and book that gator hunt? And the price that he threw out, that he said, I don't know if I want to spend that much right now. I about fell out of that recliner. And I thought, no, because when she won the alligator hunt, I thought, oh man, how are we gonna? Even though she won the hunt, it's still the bill climbed up there pretty quick when we went.
You got to pay processing fee and all that.
Pay for the meat and pay to get down there, pay to mount his head, pay for his hide, all that. It climbed up there pretty quick,
So do you like gator hunting better than turkey hunting?
No, no, not at all.
So speaking of turkey hunting, you went to Mexico. How was that trip? And was you scared to death?
It was a blast. It was probably one of the best hunting trips me and my dad have taken. But I know right where you're going. So I'm with this little guy that's from Mexico. He speaks about half English, half Spanish. We get dropped off at daylight. The other guide and the other hunter go on about their way. And we're going to meet back at this spot at 11:30. So we're walking, looking for birds, trying to strike a bird up. We're going to take a break, and we sit out, and we're on a 24,000-acre cattle ranch.
I'm going to say, you're a long ways from any type
of anything, like any electricity, anything. And except the ranch houses. But so we're sitting, there's a gravel road going through the middle of the ranch or side of the ranch, wherever we were at. And me and him just crashed down beside a big oak tree, little thicket. We're sitting there, and we're kind of wasting time waiting on 11:30, And we're 150 yards from that gravel road. And I look up, and I've got the gun laying across my lap. I'm just sitting against a tree, face mask, everything on. I look up and hear something coming down that gravel road. I kind of ease around. I said, Carlo, there's a car coming down the road. He said, oh, it's all right. Just sit back. They'll go on by us. I'm thinking, we're in the middle of 24,000 acres. Who's coming? I thought it might be one of the cowboys looking for cattle or something. I peeked back around, and I said, Carlos, that's a Humvee. He said, a Humvee? I said, yeah. I said, there's two of them. He said, oh, it's just the military. They'll ride right by us. I'm okay. All right. So I sit back against a tree, believing him. Man, they get right in line with us, and I see one of them driving, take a double take. And I said, oh, no. And I said, Carlos, they're stopping. He said, they're stopping? I said, yeah, they're getting out. He said, they're getting out. And the next thing I knew.
Did he not see them?
No, he was facing, he was facing the other way, and I was facing this way. And I said, they're getting out. He said, they're getting out. And I said, yeah, they're out. So he stands up, takes his face mask, puts all his stuff down, and he walks out of the bushes, and he's saying whatever to them, tell them, well, about that time they see that gun, shiny gun laying in my lap. And 40 of them surrounded us with ARs. and I'm, man, my heart started beating a little bit then. And I didn't know what they were saying to each other, And you hear the horror stories of Mexico and
Raleigh's. Raleigh's got you.
You finna make a movie. What you finna
So he's like, man, just put your hands on your. Yeah, he's calm. He's being real calm about it. He's like, just put your hands on your head and sit there. Don't grab the gun. I'm like, okay. So they talk and they talk and they talk, and he's like, just grab the gun and lay it on the ground and come out here with me. And I'm thinking, you want me to grab this loaded gun? And while all these dudes they weren't pointing them at me, but
yeah,
they were ready.
I felt like they were. But when all things settled down, they checked us, man. They looked in our vests, looked in everything. And the thing they were most worried about was the registration of that firearm, because the laws over there are so strict with firearms. That's all they were worried about, was that it wasn't an automatic weapon and just the registration on it. And man, they shook my hand. Heck, we was taking pictures with them, and they went on about their way.
You didn't get shook down for no money or anything?
No. It was actually a pleasant experience after my heart settled down from all the ARs pointing at me.
So you left a pair of underwears out there.
Yeah. That's right.
Imagine.
Shake them jokers out.
With my luck, with Mexican jail.
It got interesting quick, and then we ended up killing our turkeys, and it all turned into a good trip, though.
Was that your first time turkey hunting in Mexico?
It was. Yep.
Would you go back?
Yes, 100%. Lord willing, I will go back. Yep.
When he told me he was going to Mexico, and I know his daddy, and that would have been the last person. I love you, Mike, but that'd been the last person I'd say was finna be going to Mexico.
Yep. And the thing was, it was his idea. He struck up the idea of find somewhere for us to go in Mexico. All right, we'll do it.
So did y'all fly to Mexico, or did you fly to the U.S. and drive across the border?
We flew. Flights got delayed. We were supposed to fly in that morning and drive out to the camp because it was about a 4-hour ride. We got in that night about 8 o'clock, so we ended up staying in a hotel and driving out the next morning.
Okay.
Yep. And then same thing coming back. Stayed in a hotel and then got up the next morning and flew back.
That's a good trip.
Me and Dad have gone quite a few places, and it was top of the list for sure. It was fun.
I ain't got no urge to go to Mexico turkey hunting.
Oh
Man, I would go dove hunting down there.
I'd go dove hunting.
They got the birds too. You can get a duck. I saw this place. You can get a duck hunt and a dove hunt and a trophy bass fishing. Yeah,
in Mexico.
Heck yeah, they kill a ton of ducks down there.
Yeah, I think the
What
teal
kind of
and
ducks?
stuff are down there big.
Shit, all kinds.
Really?
Yeah,
I never
mallards.
thought that.
What did BJ tell us they killed down there? It was mallards and pigeons and
he had a couple of different
species
they killed.
Yeah.
You said they're processing the birds a little different we do up here, ain't it?
Yeah, especially y'all would probably have a fit, and which you can't. We didn't bring the meat back, none of that, but they don't believe in ice. I guess they don't have much ice over there. I don't know. They don't believe in ice very much, and we killed 4 turkeys one evening hunt between the 4 guys in camp. And when we woke up the next morning, all 4 of them were still hanging on the porch.
Oh, no.
Man. They ain't done nothing with them?
They ain't done. They still.
And how
hanging
warm
there.
was it?
Ooh.
It got in the 80s.
Really?
But at night it was 60 or so.
It wasn't 40.
That's
That's still
way
pretty
too
warm.
hot for hanging
They,
a bird.
We hunted the next morning, and then they cleaned them that afternoon at
They didn't
lunch.
feed them to you, did they?
No. They kept them
Not
for
that you
themselves.
know of.
They kept them for themselves.
What kind of birds were those?
Golds.
Okay, cool. So, yeah.
What was it? Those are the ones you said they gobble different or
Oh
something?
yeah, they have just a funny kind of gobble. Like it's like a turkey gobbling up here, but it's not that strong eastern gobble.
Yeah.
The ones down in the Yucatan Peninsula are the ones that make some kind of funny racket. I don't really.
They sing.
Yeah. They make a crazy noise.
Oscillated or what's
Yep,
it called?
that's it.
Yeah. Look like a peacock. It don't look like a turkey.
And they
They're
actually, the guys we were in camp with in Mexico had been over there 2 weeks earlier, and I think he killed 4. And he told me, he said, "I'll probably never see them turkeys again." I said, "What do you mean you'll never? You paid all that money, killed 4 of them. What do you mean?" He said, "They're trying. Apparently, that government or somebody's trying to get them put on the endangered species list." And he said, "If that passes, they'll never be able to ship me my turkeys back."
Oh man. So did they ship you yours already, or how did you get to bring your fans back?
Well, we brought ours. We brought ours back with us.
Put it in your luggage.
We did. They freeze them. They freeze them for you, and you throw them in there right before you get on the plane and come on back.
Really?
Then, you got to go through all the customs and USDA and all that fun stuff.
Was that a chore? I mean, was it
Uh,
kind of nerve wracking to do all that?
I don't think we got enough time for that story.
Really?
It was an.
Needless to say, he had to do a lot of extra.
Dad's first time crossing country lines like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And when we came back through Dallas, apparently the little guy at customs didn't ask us all the questions we were supposed to be asked. And we got sent down one hallway when we were supposed to be down another hallway. Needless to say, we had to take a trip to Memphis to meet the customs in the U.S. wildlife.
After they got
Oh
home.
man! To get so you.
So
He rolled right on through there
we
with
made it
turkey and
right all the
all,
way
not
back
even
to the
checked.
house with them. But we did right and called them and set up a meeting, and they shipped them off to a treatment plant and then shipped them back to us. And then one of them got shipped to a taxidermist.
Okay. It's not a whole mount. It's just the fan mount, right?
One of them will be whole.
Okay. Oh, you got a whole bird in there?
No. They tape them out for you.
Oh, okay.
Tape them out for you.
You got old Butterball.
No ice, nothing. We just
you got delayed.
We got 12 hours to get this bird home.
Yeah, with y'all in the cooking industry and stuff, y'all would probably have a heart attack over there just because them little.
Did
guys,
you drink the water?
No.
They tell you not to.
They didn't even have to tell us to. We knew better than that. But I mean, like I said, the place we were going up there, and we were an hour and a half from camp, and that was the last electricity I saw.
So at camp, did you have electricity?
Solar electricity. They had battery packs that they charge up in the day. Because like at nighttime, if you had to get up and use the restroom at nighttime, don't flip the switch on because they done killed all the power to the house. They was letting them, the batteries were charged during the day, and then they had to conserve as much as they could.
That's crazy. Yeah. You was in the middle of nowhere.
It's a different world. That was half of the hunt was seeing that Mexican culture.
Yeah.
Because they had 2 women there that cooked Mexican food, and that was half of the fun was getting to that 4 hour ride. It wasn't like going to Mi
Pueblo?
No, it was a little different than that.
A little bit different than the siesta. Well, Jody, yeah, man, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us, man. Enjoyed the stories and the gator hunting information. That's awesome, man.
We just got to go do it now.
Yep.
We got if we can convince Malcolm, we'll get us to go with this big boat.
I'll keep the truck nice and warm or cool for y'all, depending on the weather.
It'll be a good time.
Cook something at the boat ramp.
If we can take a 4-year-old out there, we can get you out there.
I don't know which one would be easier. I don't know which one would be easier.
It'd be a big boat.
We sure appreciate it. Like I say, guys, thank y'all listening. If y'all got any questions, shoot us a message on Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms. Y'all make sure to listen to this podcast wherever you can get it. And thank y'all for listening. Jody, thank you for being here, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
We gone.